is that time, and we are doing the painting stuff. Painting stuff once again. Welcome back. And what we're doing is we're going to be doing our continuation of Eivor, the Viking dude. So we're going to do that and continue on with our paint in the desk, which is a total mess, but that's okay. Okay, so anyway, a little bit of a recap. What we ended up doing is taking, if I can get taking our character here, and this is Eivor, and we did a number of colors with speed paint. Of course, prior to this, what we ended up doing was black, and then we did a gray on here. I think it's a gray primer or whatever, gray whitish primer, and then we did black and then a zenithal. That's what it was. We did the zenithal from the top down, and we got some pretty good colors on here. So we did a lot of that, and we got a few little touch-ups that we need to do, but the colors just came out awesome. So we're going to continue rocking this. And I think what we're going to end up doing, we need to make a decision, because previously we talked about how we were going to do gold on some of these areas, which would be like these little swirlies, and on the decoration on the axe, little emblem thing on his breastplate there, and then of course this thing, we'll put some gold on there. So yeah, it is it's going to be a pretty interesting little deal here. So we're just going to jump right in and do that. So let's see, how are we going to do this? I think we'll just jump in with the gold, I guess. And we're going to use, we're going to use the gold, the Hoplite Gold, which is a speed paint. It's metallic. We're going to need a real small brush. So we get this paint mixed up real good, and that's going to be the smallest paintbrush we have there. So I think that's what we're going to use. And so let's just get on it. We'll just do a little dot to start off with. Now we're going to need my geek glasses, my super geek glasses. As we do this, we're definitely going to need this is going to be an interesting little way to do this. I guess we could start on this piece here. And can we do this? I think we can do this. Wow, that is really, really this is just going to fill in everywhere on that. So it's more like super watered down. So I think we'll leave that with that. I'm wondering if can we even, you can see that. You can see the gold on there, but it just soaks into all of the crevasses in there. So let's see if we can do, we might have to change. Oh no. Because it really just kind of really, really liquidy. So we'll see how this turns out. I mean, that's not bad. That works out good. You can see that there. George pops in, says howdy. How's the afternoon going? Going pretty good, pretty good. Did our little hospital run, so got our medication. I was gonna lay down, take a nap, but I figured, we'll go through and we'll just do some painting. Which makes me ask the question, how are you doing? And that gold just so watery. Wow. Guess we can do the latches with this gold as well on the back. Which that'll turn out nice. Those speed paints though, man, they just really liquidy. So this will be an interesting little thing that we got to do here. I think the gold was a good color. But it is a very liquidy. So you get too much on the brush and it will immediately seep down into the recesses super quick. You know, at first glance it doesn't look, it looks okay, but through the magnifying lens that I'm looking through, you're like, oh, there's a little bit of a mess up, but I think that'll turn out really good. You can see that. I'm really happy with that. And even the one on the chest, the little brooch that he has there has turned out pretty good. So I think this has turned out good. That was a good color, good choice. And I think we'll continue on with the gold on the buckles, because that really just shines. So yeah, doing good. I like it. is turning out well. Yeah, this is going to turn out pretty good. George says, not too bad, just fighting off the remnants of the chest cold and relaxing. Oh no. Yeah, being sick isn't fun, that's for sure. That is for sure. So hopefully you get better quick. Now here, it's going to be interesting. So I want to keep some silver, but I want to do some gold in here as well. And then we have to do some of these lines. Which the metallic is good enough. It gives enough coverage, so if you get any spill from some of the other colors that you used, this will cover it. But it's still pretty watery. Yeah, wow, that's going to turn out really nice. I'm trying to see if I can, what else I can do on here as far as gold. Dang it. Tiny little details. This is really going to end up being nice, I think. If I can keep my hand steady enough, might turn out really good. Just trying to just get the tops of it so I can have some silver underneath there. I think the brush is getting a little dry and funky. I think we're doing pretty good. there's a little centerpiece on there that I think what we'll end up doing is we'll try to put like a purple. So in the very center of that, there's kind of like an oval shape. And I think we could do some purple. And then we could throw on some UV resin and then cure that so it gives it like a real nice, super sharp shine on there. I think that'll look really good. Okay. So that has turned out really good. I'm liking that. And get a little bit of a I think that's going to turn out pretty good. The problem with such a small brush is that it dries out really quick. Okay, so we're getting there. We're going to do the little part on the mid-drift. I'll just do another small drop. And we'll get that going and we should be good. Yeah, this is turning out good. Good. There we got on the center there. I still get a little bit of silver that spilled over. I think we can do some wash on there to kind of hide that. So I'm thinking this has turned out pretty good. So now what we'll end up doing, that turned out really good. So we'll do a little decoration on the axes, on that axe and the other one. see that there's a little bit of contrast there, so that works. Yeah, it's gonna turn out really good. You can see that. Nice, nice. Of course, on the underside of the axe, just do a little bit in there. And on this other axe, it's got like a little wolf's head on here that I might end up, I don't know. We might end up doing some of that in gold. Or maybe black. No, I think I'll just do it in the gold. So yeah, I don't know if y'all can see that, but it turned out good. Let's see if we can do this other side real quick. So we're good to go on that. Is there any other place we want to do gold? I'm not really seeing it. Maybe on the center? I think I will. On that center heart, because it was... Try a little bit of a contrast on there. Have a different color. Which I think will work out. So that way it's a little bit of a different color on there, and I can gives it a little bit of a, instead of just bronze on everything on there. I think that'll work out good. Alrighty, I think we are cooking. So it looks really good. So now I think we are done with the gold. I don't think there's any gold on him that we need to worry about. Get rid of our super geek glasses. But I am going to have to go back with some of that brown that we used for the fur, because I'm kind of wearing off some of those pieces by handling it. So I'll have to do a little bit of touch up on there, but we will be good. got that back to a point, so we're good. Next big color that we're gonna do. Trying to think. On the head, we have the head and then we have the cloak. There are some other areas on here that I might put some gold accent. You know what? Let's do it. Because that'll tie it in, even though it's like small and insignificant. I'd better get my super geek glasses. You got a little bit of the gold accent on the back there. I think that'll look good. And I want to do a little bit of a darker color around that to kind of frame out that little hood he's got around his neck. So we want to make that a little bit darker. So there we go. And we can do that with a regular brush, so I'm not too concerned. With that, we can get like a dark wash. Just get a little bit. It's not going to need much of that at all. That'll look pretty good when that all dries. Just put a little bit on the bottom part, so that way we can kind of get like a little bit of a shadow or darkened effect on there. That'll turn out pretty good, I think. Once that dries, we'll get a little bit of a contour on that between the regular brown and that. So, oh no. Okay, so the next thing we're going to end up doing, honestly, I could do some black on the shoes, on the soles of the shoes. I think we can do that. Maybe with a cultist cloak. That could work on the shoes, I guess. Maybe we could mix this with a little bit of the... I'll put it on there and see what happens. You gotta always give them like black shoes, or pink. Pink. Let's see what that turns out like. And then I also have that grim black. So, actually, let's just do the grim black for the soles of his feet. I don't even want to use that. It was just like a grayish type of thing that we had. So let's go for a little bit darker. Grim black. So let's see how this works. Alrighty. They just didn't do me any favors by putting that so close on there. So we have to go around and kind of fix that up a little bit, or cheat when we do the base. So that'll work. It's nice. That's a decent color. And this has turned out pretty good. I like it. Not bad, not bad. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be black? I don't think so. So we're good. So, since we're good on that, now the other question is doing some flesh color stuff is going to be what is next. I think we can start off with the hands. Or do we want to go ahead and just do the, I think a hand can be a little bit more forgiving, and then I can practice on that before I go to the head, because we have head hair, and that can be a problem. So we've got some peachy flesh, and then we've got warrior skin. So you can see the colors there are just a little bit different. And you know what we could do is we could start off with a warrior skin. We could put that onto the hands, and then what we could end up doing is letting that dry, see how that looks, and we could come back and maybe do highlights with the peachy flesh and see how that looks on the hands, and then we could take it from there and, I don't know, see what happens. That definitely needs shaking up. So back here. So yeah, doing flesh is kind of an interesting thing because I haven't done much of that at all. There's some other colors. We got, well, that's the Rudy fur. What was this one? Aged hide. So you got kind of a pinkish color. So the peachy is more peach, but the aged hide looks kind of reddish. And then the warrior skin. So I think we'll do the warrior skin first. I'll try that on the hands and we'll see how that goes. George says, I have been looking for a good flesh color filament for a Santa for my uncle. Yeah, that would be an interesting little thing to do. Trying to see how that would turn out. I know with the color filament and stuff, it's just pretty amazing on what they can end up doing with that. And here we go. Wow, that is really dark. That is, I don't know about that. Then again, we don't have a lot. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be good. Let's just take that off of there. Okay, probably need a little bit more light on that hand. So warrior skin is a bit too dark, and I think the aged hide would be a little bit too red, so I think we'll go with a peachy flesh and we'll see how that goes. At least it'll be lighter, because that stuff was just too dark. It just blended in too much for that. So I'm hoping we can get some contrast to that. Oh no. My cap came off. Thought I super glued these on there, but guess I didn't have enough. Get back on there and stay on there. All right, peachy flesh. Let's see what we get with this. Keep your fingers crossed. And again, there's not a lot of white zenithal on this hand. So, but that is lighter. So that could work. I mean, better than the other stuff we had on there. So, we'll see how this turns out. I mean, it's a little wet, but not too bad. I mean, again, I don't know. I've yet to, this will be like the first flesh that I've done with the speed paint, so I think. So we'll see how this turns out. It's got a little bit of a flesh color on there. So it's a little bit, like I said, I could have done a better job on the zenithal on that. So I think that's what we're going to go with is the peach. It's not a huge contrast on there on the hands. And then again, I should have put a little bit more white on there, but that's my bad. So just do the peach. Go ahead and throw some peach on the head and see what that looks like. I'm looking forward to Black Friday filament sales. Yeah, that's right. Black Friday is coming up. So that is going to be something that will definitely be a thing. There's some things that I want to pick up as well. So I gotta hold off and do that. This guy's got a little bit of like a tattoo on him. And so we'll have to play around with that. And I think we can try to do the tattoo in like a bluish color. So there's that. Like getting in the frame. That's not too bad. Actually, it's turned out pretty good. Not too bad. George says this year I want to make more gifts than buy. Yeah, that's always a cool thing. It's turning out pretty good. Should have done a little bit more on the face because I got some harsh shadows, but I think that'll turn out well. Alrighty. And I think what I'll do on the inside of this cloak is I'll put some dark wash in there. So that way it'll kind of look more like shadows in there. And the hands, yeah, I should have just zenithal the hands a little bit more because we just got some, it's just a little too rough on the hands, a little bit too dark. So there's not really anything I can do with that. So, but since he's standing like this, you can kind of see where the, let's see if I can get that. You can kind of see where it's the shadows anyway, so that kind of adds to it. And that's kind of in the shadowy area because it's kind of looking down, but you still get a little bit of color in there. Let's see if we can add a little bit more. Maybe it'll brighten up a little bit. Probably not much. Pretty good. So yeah, I think that's going to work out pretty good. Zombie Hunter pops in. Hey, yeah, Zombie, good to hear from you. Decided to do some painting later on, and so we're getting some stuff done as far as this guy. So we tried using this peachy flesh color, and it's turning out pretty good. The other stuff is a little bit too dark, and since it's a lot of dark to begin with, I think the peach was a good way to go because that's, you can see there, turned out pretty good. And he does have like an eagle tattoo on the side of his head, and I think I'm going to do that and try to do that in like a bluish color to really get some contrast for that. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with his hair. That is the other question. I was thinking about doing with this ochre clay to kind of be like the yellow-haired Viking dude, and then that would really offset the flesh, and then with the yellow hair, and then have like a black or a dark blue tattoo on the side of his head. I think that would look really good. So, can't stay long, you have to work soon. Well, thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. At least you get to see a little bit. So I think I need to do some wash down in there. Like we mentioned before. And just in the top where the head is settled down. He's got like that cape, or the hoodie that is just kind of draped over the back, all in there, around there. It's just one color, it's not really dark. So we'll just throw on some, see if we can't get some darkness in there. It should be, if I don't screw it up. A little bit of dark in here. Hopefully that'll help highlight the, or kind of frame out the head a little bit. So the next color we'll end up doing makes a good stand for his beard. I really need to clean off my desk. It is rough. It is rough. yellow ochre. That's what it's going to look like. I mean, there's that. Charming chartreuse, which is a bit too much like puke green, so I don't think we're going to use that. The only other one I have is this, is the ancient honey, which is way too much. And then of course, this maize yellow, that's just like crazy. I don't know, which one do you think? Ochre clay or the maize yellow for his hair? That is, those are the decisions that we have. So I'm not really sure. What is a little bit of a different lighting? So this one's a little bit darker. This is definitely lighter. And that's like a white light or warm light. George says the clay, so the ochre clay. What do you think, Zombie, if you're still around? We could try a little bit with the ochre clay, and then if it doesn't work, we just wipe it off real quick and see how that goes. So, yeah, let's try the ochre and see how that goes. You know, I could desert yellow. That's a regular army paint, but I'm going to try to stick to the speed paint. And Zombie Hunter says the clay one as well. Alrighty, that's it. 3 for 3. I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, I think the details on this are going to be pretty good. And then, as I was looking at this, there's even more details that I could end up doing. Zombie says, yeah, gotta go. Alrighty, have a good one. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. We'll catch you later. But on some of the other details on here, you've got the stitching on here, which I could go through and do the stitching and do that in like a brown, individual brown stitching. And then, I don't know how crazy I want to get, but there's some other, you know, I could do some other contrasting colors on kind of like this design here. Maybe I could do some silver on those, on the armband, because that's pretty prevalent. But definitely on the pants here, I think I'm going to do that in black. I think that would really be good. So yeah, a lot of details, So we're talking about doing the hair. So let's see what that'll look like. Ochre clay. How does it look on? And we'll do some on the back. Just see how that turns out. That's kind of a yellow, that's for sure. That looks like it could be doable. I think that could work there, gentlemen. I think that'll work. be just a good amount of yellow. I think that'll be good. Note to self, gotta be careful with that, the flesh color that we used, because this doesn't really do a lot of coverage, and it's really kind of transparent. So what we're seeing is that flesh is that flesh color. Like I said, it's transparent, but I think this will be pretty good for what we're doing. I really think it will. Nice. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be good. I should have been a little careful because we got his eyebrows, and that is going to be interesting. Because with the white, it looks good on the white. But with that peach color on there, I don't know how that's going to turn out. It's not too bad. A little bit on his cheek there. Get that off. So not bad. It actually turned out pretty good. The peach or the yellows turned out great. And then when we do the, I think the blue with the tattoo, that'll really, really kick that off. So yeah, that turned out excellent. I like that. A little bit much on the face as far as the shadows, but he's kind of in this position here on the model. So with his face kind of looking down, you're gonna have those shadows under his cheeks and stuff like that. So it's just kind of, man, that looks good though. The way he stands, that looks really good. I almost wish he had more hair, honestly, because that would. Ochre clay, that was a good call. Excellent call. And that's with the speed paints too. So if you need some Viking yellow hair, the ochre clay is the way to go. Okay, I got to do some touch-ups on the fur brown that we did, because I've been touching it so much. There's Firedrake, Rudy Fur, or no, we did the Satchel Brown. So we'll mix some of that up and kind of hit some of the areas where I've been rubbing off the paint from handling it so much. Should be good to go on that. Kind of patch that up a little bit. Some of the tips on there were rubbed off the paint, which, I mean, there could be something to be said for the fur and doing doing a little bit of a darker color, but and I think I'll do a little bit of cheating, and we'll, because I forgot to paint this band. So we'll just kind of clean that up with that. So yeah, this is turning out pretty good. Turned out good. George says, I have the Lazy Susan printing for my niece because she paints a lot, and I made a separate wash/dry tray for her brushes. Cool. That's nice. She does the painting thing. She'll really appreciate that. That'll be good. That's a good idea. Okay. Now, I just saw another place where so yeah, that is really looking good, I think. If we can see that. That's turning out really good. So I guess basically, well, we need to do the tattoo. So I want to try to do like a bluish tattoo. So that'll be a contrast with the yellow. And that's kind of a cool thing. So we're done with the brown. We don't need the Rudy Tooty fur there. We don't need the bronze or the gold. So we can put that back. And then our matte black from our regular army paint, we don't need that. So now, you gotta do the tattoo. It's on the side of the head. And you can see that there? On the side of the head. It's got the little crow on there, or raven. I want to try to do that in a blue. And we got some options of blue. Beowulf blue, which is kind of a darker blue, and then we have Royal Robes. I think we'll go with the Beowulf blue. Or we got Tyrian Navy. That could work as well. And that is darker. The problem is this stuff is really, really watered down. I think I'll go with the Beowulf blue because that'll give some real good contrast. So we'll mix that up. on the paint rack that I made for my Arteco paints. You know, the 59 milliliter, 60 milliliter tubes. That thing works out really, really good. So I'm thinking about updating that even more, because I have this sitting on a Lazy Susan. So I'm thinking about making some adjustments to this, have a version 3 where I don't need a Lazy Susan. So it'll have a base with like a center post that comes to a point, and then the receptacle on the next one will have like a point, so that way it kind of rotates on that very top point type of thing, if that makes sense. With this, we're going to need the super small brush. So, because once again, oh, I totally forgot about this. If you're trying to do like small lines, super fine point pens, I found these on Amazon. The line is 0.25 millimeters, and that thing is like wicked small. So if you need to do some really, really small black line work, this is the way to go. And I got those primarily for eyeballs, the pupils on models, because it's so hard for me to paint them, and it's easier just to use that. Okay, we're going to need some geek glasses. And we're going to need some paint. That's all critted up. And we're not going to need much. And let's see if we can get barely enough on there to get our tattoo on there. And we might need a little bit of, yeah, I should have paid attention a little bit more. I didn't know that would be such a huge deal. I also got her a new airbrush nozzle because she has been needing one, and my sister asked if I could find one for her. Hobby gets a lot of my money. Yeah, I could see that. I know I've spent enough on that for sure. Well, let's see if we can. Actually could turn out good. Like I said, that brush is so thin, and that dries up really, really quick. That'll work. just so small. I think that's as good as we're going to get there. And see that. Kind of hide the mistake I made on the hair, but that looks pretty good. I think that turned out, that looks really good. I'm not going to do any more because I don't want to jinx it. Yeah, I think that blue is pretty good. We'll see how that turns out. See how it goes. So yeah, that is that peach flesh turned out pretty good. Peachy flesh. And then the yellow that we used was that ochre clay for the hair, which is perfect. And I wanted to try a different color scheme, because Vikings, yellow hair, that's kind of the thing with Vikings. So that was something I always wanted to try to do, because the other Vikings that I ended up doing, those ended up, I did black hair, and those turned out, they did okay, but these are this was the smaller guy that I ended up doing. And so I kind of did the black, and then I kind of got some streaks in there. So if you can see that. But, it's a small 32 millimeter, 40 millimeter, so, there's not much I can do with that. I got to do some dry wash or some wash on here to darken them up a little bit. Same with the other guys. But I was really hesitant to do the yellow because, I didn't know the yellows I had just looked way too much. But this turned out pretty good. Is that a good spot? Yeah. So you can see there. Yeah, I think that worked out great. Noise. So, I think what we can end up doing, we will set that over and we'll let that dry. I'm pretty happy with how the hair turned out. That is like perfect. So I've got a larger one of these, like large, like it's like this large. Matter of fact, I don't know if you all remembered this, but there it is. So we got the small guy, and then this one is FDM printed. I printed that out on the K2 Plus, and that came out. So, yeah, I think this would just be fantastic as far as, painting this like that. That will just turn out really, really good. So, yeah. The next project. So, I wanted to do the purple. The little, there's that little dot of silver right in the center there, and I want to make that purple. And then once I paint the purple on there, we're not going to use, even though that's a nice purple, but the problem is this is really too watery. So we need something that's kind of thick. And so while some of these purples are really nice colors, because they're speed paints, they just like run all over the place. The problem, I don't want that. So what I'm going to end up doing is we will use this alien purple. We could do the alien purple. Grimoire, no, I think alien purple, or we could do like a red, like dragon red, and put it on that one little piece. And I don't know, maybe the purple would be good for the little dot that's right there. So we do the red or the purple. And then once that dries, here's the cool thing. We'll go over it with some clear Green Stuff World UV resin, and then we'll put that on top of the paint and cure that, and it'll look like it's a shiny, I don't know, gemstone or something. And I actually did that on an orc that I painted. And so let's take a look at that. Is I painted this orc dude, and if you look at his chest, those right there, that's what I ended up doing. So you can see how they're all nice and shiny and everything. That's what I ended up doing, is actually taking this and then painting it purple and then put the UV resin on there and then cured it, and it looks like it's a precious stone. So yeah, this was a really cool print that I ended up doing, and the majority of this is speed paints as well. There are a few other paints on here, but yeah, this turned out really, really good, and especially on those. It'll focus on those little two things there. I want to say that was like 4, 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that. Total time I spent on that. I just went way overboard as far as details. If we do the purple, that'll kind of be good, but if we do the red, that'll be a really cool look to it as well. Like an amethyst, yeah, kind of thing. So now the question is, I don't know, the red, I'm really digging the red. I think the red would be good. I mean, the purple's good, but I think we need something that's just going to pop. And I might even put that red on there, on this thing up front, and then put the UV resin on there, and also put the red on that silver dot there. And with UV resin, it'll be really shiny. I think that's what I'll do. Alrighty. Purple, you'll have to go and be used some other day. Yeah, paint's in the wrong space. What the hell? Alrighty, so we're going to use a dragon red. And I think we'll redo that thing on the front. There's a little badge on the front that we have there, and then that little dot on there of the red and the red as little accent pieces, and we should be good on that. A ruby look. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, this hasn't been used in a long time. It's going to need a lot of shaking. The one thing I do like about the speed paints is because they're so watery, they don't dry out as fast as like the regular army speed paints. So, and it just goes into crevasses and creaks and creases and little nooks and crannies, and it just kind of just boom soaks right in there, and it's just so easy to use. The other thing I could end up doing is with the fur, we could go back and we could do like with a light gray and do a dry brush to kind of break up and get a little bit more definition on the fur instead of just having the massive brown. We got some colors and we got some gradation in there, but as you can see, we could probably pull out a little bit more by doing some dry brushing on those fur tips, which would, again, more details. Okay, it sounds a lot better. So here we go. Seriously. How does this look? Yeah, that's a good looking color. It's just that. Just had some stuff in that cap. And this is a little thicker, so the good thing about that is we can get a little bit more control over where we want the paint to go. Question is, I think it's going to be a little bit too big of a brush. That's too big. And both these are about the same. So we'll just go with this one. And we'll start with the little dot. Again, our geek glasses. Oh yeah, that's going to look really good. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Be a nice little accent, and I think we can do just redo that gold. I'll do it in red, or the gold and the red, I should say. Yeah, I think that'll look good. You can see that there. So we got the red and the gold in there, and then we got the red there. Almost makes me wish there was other places I could put the red, but honestly, I think that'll look really good once we get that the UV resin on there. That will really make that pop, because it's clear, and so you just put a drop on it and it'll kind of again have that glassy look to it, and then as soon as you cure it, boom, it'll look really, really good. So let that dry a little bit. So yeah, some good stuff with that. And I'm thinking about, because I got some new brushes with the new wet palette that I ended up getting. Some sable brushes. There's a golden maple. So I've got some new paint brushes, and those paint brushes seem to be pretty nice. Of course, all paint brushes look pretty nice when they're brand new. So, but yeah, I'm starting to appreciate taking care of brushes. So I think we're good. So we can go ahead and we can do this green stuff. Let's see if we got. Yep. And, oops. Yeah, we got a fair amount. We are good. Good to go. And we can do, because I want this to look good, I'm going to pay attention to how much I put on here, because I didn't do that like last time. Now let's see if I can. Get this all around the edges. And I think we will be good to go. Up. Got a little bit into the fur, so we need to fix that. We don't want the fur to be shiny. But it's not wanting to pay attention. I don't know, I think we can always go back and we could do a little paint on the fur. So let's go ahead and blast this. With the UV light. Let's see what we're doing there. So yeah, that'll bring that out. And we'll get a nice good cure on that. Hold that on there for a bit. Yeah, this stuff works great for doing stuff like this. So I think this will really be a cool little thing there, because it ends up, you can see how shiny that is. It just gives that shine to it. Looks so good. So let's go ahead and we'll do the same thing on this. And again, Super Geek glasses activate, and we're just going to need a little bit. I think we're good, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to look fantastic. Because it'll just give just a little bit of detail of something just a little bit different besides just painting it red. So yeah, it'll end up being so nice. Let's see, how's it? UV light on there. Boom. And of course on there, you kind of see how it reacts differently. The color scheme, the color that it pops out after that's all cured is going to be super, super nice. Just really be shiny. Oh, and that piece on his chest, that is going to look good. We just need to do a little bit of fix up where the resin got into the fur underneath there, just above it, so we can kind of get it not so shiny there. So yeah, there it is. You can see how shiny that is. Let's see, yeah, can you all see that? And then on his little side there, and how that turned out. Just a little detail that just slams it, makes it look good. That turned out great. And even as if it's standing like this and you look at it, you're not going to notice that little piece of resin that's underneath the fur because of the angle that you're looking at it. The only way you'd be able to see it is if you look from the bottom up. But that's a favorite little trick that I have. I love that. This Green Stuff World resin, little UV light pen. Bam! Bonus! So, that turns out good. Let's see. Some of the other stuff that we could end up doing. There is the eagle on the side of his head, or the crow, or the raven, or whatever it is, in the blue. I think that turned out really good. Lesson learned. I'll do a little bit more white on the face, but because his face is looking down anyway, it's kind of hard to do that. But yeah, even that turned out well. So the other thing we could end up doing, man, that turned out great. Because you can still see the gold behind it, and then you have the red, and then the whole thing is shiny. And so it kind of gives a three-dimensional, shiny type of look to it, which is really nice. I wonder if I should do it on like these pieces here, on the inlays of the axe. Put some resin on there. Let's try that. I'm thinking that would look cool. So let's try it. Why not? Why not? And the bottle is really thick. So it's like, and the opening is thick as well. Or it's large anyway, I should say. And with that, I think that'll turn out good too. Yeah, I think that'll be good. So let's go ahead and we'll do our UV resin. Pop that in there. Yeah, that's gonna turn out really nice. That is going to be good. So again, a little bit of a shine to it. And talking about UV resin, since I do resin printing, this guy is printed in resin printing, Elegoo PLA Pro, whatever it is, eSun, no, it's eSun resin, that's what it is. eSun Pro or PLA Pro or Pro, whatever resin it is. It's working out pretty good. Using resin to fill between the gaps in the lines when you do like 3D printing stuff on an FDM printer. So that is kind of an interesting little thing that you can end up doing. And I'm going to do more on that to see how that'll work with the my Doomslayer Eternal helmet. And instead of using like Bondo or wood filler, I tried using wood filler, but I'm just not feeling that. But I found that with the Borderlands rifle that I did, I took some UV resin, not this stuff, just regular UV resin for 3D printing, added some talcum powder, baby powder to it, and that ended up smoothing out the areas really well. So there you can see it's shiny. Again, it gives kind of a gloss look to the axe, on that part of the axe, which just kind of, the light just catches it a little bit. So again, just a little bit of an accent area. So I think it'll turn out good. So let's go ahead and continue. Should have done that on like this, on the inside. Had a hair on there. We don't want that. Little tiny spill onto the. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, that looks really good. I like that. I like that a lot. The UV resin, little trick there, works well. So continuing on, and now that my hand is resting on this gigantic marker, I got in the pants for my Borderlands costume, and so I got these big, huge markers, so we can start doing some cell shading for that, for the pants, and try to make them look cartoonish. So we'll do that. That's going to be another video, I guess. And oh yeah, that's going to look good. Just continue on, and we'll. So I'm looking forward to do that, and yeah, get Master Geek glasses on here, and we'll continue with our resin, getting our resin on. Alrighty. Nice little UV resin trick here. I gotta do the other side as well. So, but yeah, definitely some cool stuff that we ran into. So, yeah, doing a little model, doing a little bit of painting, see all the details that you can put into this is pretty nice, and just learning the process of doing this and doing one and then doing another, and then you hey, I should have done this first, or I should have done that second, or instead of doing it first, or even just the different color schemes, thinking about it and saying, oh well, yeah, maybe a different color would have worked. But you take those lessons learned and you move on, and yeah, it's just it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. And I was just thinking about the axe on this. I was thinking, you know what? If there's an axe, it needs to have some blood on it. so I think we're going to add some blood to the axe as well. So there's that shiny part there, shiny part on the other one. We could do a little bit. There's just. You're really going to see that? Not really, but. I guess we'll throw some in there. Why not? What the hell? Yeah, I don't think I need the Master Geek glasses. We can just do a quick little bead in there. And we can just spread that around. It's just. Okay, so that should be it for the resin. We'll just kind of cure this guy off, and should be good to go. So yeah, a little bit of shiny details on there, which would be nice. And then, yeah, some blood on the axe. We're going to do some blood on the axe. And we just so happen to have glistening blood, which is really good. This is the Army Painter regular effects paint. So it's not part of the Speed Paint 2.0. But I really love the color of this glistening blood. So that is definitely a favorite if we're talking about blood splatter and stuff. So we'll do that on the axe and maybe on the pommel of one of the axes that has the point on it. And then the ball end of the other end of the axe head is you got that ball, the steel ball or whatever. And we'll throw a little bit on there as well. So we'll see if we can get some dripping blood action. And yeah, that should look pretty good. I don't know how bloody I want to get, but I definitely want to have some blood on the axes. And that stuff is really thick. So you gotta make sure that that is really, really. Now to put the blood on there, we got a couple of options. We could end up doing kind of like with our go-to little brush here, or foam, and we could just dip it into the blood and then just kind of streak it on there. I think we could do that, because if we paint it, it's just going to look too painted. So with this, we can get a little bit of variation because of the foam and the edges and the holes that are in it. I think that'll look pretty good. And we could try to do some blood droppings on here as well. Off of the tip of the axe and have like blood dripping down like a drop or whatever. We could do that with the UV resin or with say some super glue, but the super glue I have is, the container is just horrible in the applicator. Alrighty. So here we go. Probably a little bit more than what I needed. And we might have to mix it up a little bit with just a hair bit of water. Yeah, I got too much in there, but it is what it is. But with this, blood color looks really good on this. So you can see that turns out really, the glistening blood is great. Since we're not going to use this brush, I want to make sure that I clean it. Keep my tip nice and sharp. Just put that there, let that dry. And now, let's get on to our blood. And you can see we can do just a little bit of get some blood on there, and it just ends up in which I think it looked pretty good. And I got enough blood on there, get a little bit on his, dare say we put a little bit on his hands and whatever. And we'll put some on this pommel on the back. So yeah, oh yeah, that is good. That is good. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely good. Now this one, since it's pretty prominent, just a little bit of blood on his hands. A little bit of blood on him. Which I think will be good. Just to kind of show that he's been in battle a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit of blood, a little bit. So yeah, I think that'll be good. And just kind of do a little bit of splatter on there. I think we'll be good to go. And yeah, I think that'll be. So there we got the blood splatter on there, on his hands. Of course the axe, and then of course some of that, and we got a little bit of blood splatter up on him and on his clothes. And we might even try to do that blood splatter thing. Boy, that stuff just dries quick. Just a little bit on the bone. That is perfect. Perfect. Again, that was just this is just a little packing foam off of something I bought, and so I just cut a little piece. I wish I kept more of this, but that's my go-to thing. So we definitely got some blood splatter on there. That is looking oh so good. Which begs the question, should we put some blood splatter on his face? And I dare say we probably could put a little bit on there. So let's do that. Let's do that. We're not going to need much, that's for sure. And almost $7 an ounce, yeah, definitely. And then I'm wondering if we can't like fit this onto yeah, we can do that, but trying to keep his face forward is going to be interesting. That is enough. He's going to be a little bloody in the face. Look at that. Oh yeah. That is good. That is good. Oh, that's going to turn out so good. I'm super happy with that. I think what we can end up doing, so we can just super glue this guy's head onto the body. And we should be good to go. Again, my super glue thing is like horrible. I kept promising myself I'm going to buy more and throw this away. So I'll just throw that on there and boom, we're good. So look at that. It's beautiful. So, oh, that turned out really good. I'm so happy with that. Like I said, what we could go through and paint the individual things where his pants are stitched together, the stitches. We could do that, which I'm halfway tempted to do. Then of course we also got the bottom, but I think this is we're at a good stopping point right now, because I like this the way it is. And then we could what I can end up doing is I can spray this with a matte varnish to seal in all these colors, because I can rub stuff off or whatever. So I want to seal those in, and then what we could do is we could always go back and we could paint, or we could just do the darn Darn it, seriously. I guess we could just do the stitches. And we could do the stitches with obviously a dark color, which is going to be satchel brown. So we could do that. So let's just go ahead, bite the bullet and do it. Yeah, this turned out pretty good. I'm very happy with it. Matter of fact, hold on because I'm going to move the camera so I don't get too seasick. And we'll see if we can. So there he is. You can see some of the details that we ended up getting. That turned out pretty good. You can see from turned out really good. Back. You can see there. Oh, that turned out pretty good. And then of course there. Yeah, again, just turned out super good. I definitely like this. Yeah. And especially on his face and the hair, that turned out really good. Damn, does that look good? I like that. That turned out really good. Sorry, I haven't been commenting much as I had to switch to the TV for a bit while the phone charged. Oh, no problem. No big deal. I get you. Things happen. Phones need charging. Lord, I know how that goes. Where's our real small brush? Our teeny tiny brush. So that way we can paint on some of the stitching, and I'm wondering how much of that I want to do, because we got a lot of stitching here on the other side, some on that side, but not too much, and some on the feet as well. Again, not absolutely necessary, but I think I'll do a little bit and see how that works. But yeah, it's turned out pretty good. I like it. We did a real good job on this. And there it is. Okay. What I can end up doing is see if I can just get a again, just small little details. This isn't too bad. going to be a little bit more time intensive, but no. I think I'll just end up just doing that one pant leg, and then I'll just do a little bit of stitching on here on his shoes, and we could call that good. I'll just kind of do some edge highlighting on some of these lines on here since we're at it. So yeah, nice, 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 nice. I think we can even go a little bit. Kind of do some little bit of shading on here on the bottom. It's like, oh, will anybody see it? Probably not. But I'll see it. And again, a little bitty details can make a difference. The more you look at it, the more it's like, holy crap, I did a lot. Yeah, so it kind of replicates some of the shadows. Damn, that looks good. Damn, that looks good. His eyes, though, the eyes are going to be the kicker. But he's got his head down that you can't really see his eyes. But I'm going to have to try to go in there with a super small brush and try to get some white in there. And then with that super fine tip marker, I can go back and I can hit that with a little dot. But yeah, that is going to be the eyes, especially on, could you imagine doing the eyes on something this small? That would be insane. It's just like totally crazy. So I think we're good there. We have the base that we can end up doing, which honestly, I think we could do like a lead belcher or like no gold. We could do gold on this little design there, which would really be good. And the rest of this we can kind of try to brush and do like a dark stone color. So we could go with something occultic cloak or Tyrian navy. That would really good because then that gold on there would really pop. So let's try that. Why not? lot of shaking. Seriously. I'm super happy with how this is turning out. Digging it, digging it. We're doing well. This, we don't need that small brush, we can just use something larger like this. I think we should be good. So, let us begin. That's kind of a darker, it's a navy-ish type of color. And I think for those rocks it'll be really good. And then with that, we can, that'll really just offset the gold big time. And then we could always go through and try to hit some of this stuff up with, you know, filling in the cracks or whatever, doing some dry brushing to get some highlights on some of these rocks or whatever. That could turn out pretty nice looking too. But heck, the way it's looking now, even with just slapping this stuff on there, it looks pretty good. Because we got enough. We can see some cracks and creases. And we can even go through and just kind of brush off some of these corners to try to basically do like an edge highlighting without doing edge highlighting. So yeah, this won't be as time intensive as I thought it would be either. And we just run our finger across there, get some of the edges. Yeah, this will turn out pretty nice. Need more. gold on there. That's going to be a challenge, a little bit of a tiny challenge. But with that blue, this kind of blue will kind of sort of tie in with the blue on his tattoo on his head. So that's kind of another reason why I picked that color instead of doing like a brown, because we got way too much brown anyway. So yeah, this is definitely turning out to be a really good print. Really good paint job. I'm liking how this has turned out. Just kind of run our hand across and put some. So yeah, boom, I think we're good. So the Tyrian Navy turned out to be a real good color. I like that. And then when we slam in some gold on there, that is really, really going to make that pop. So that'll be a cool looking base. Let's get some more. I would say we probably don't even need to do anything else with that base besides do the gold, which will be some detail work. So it's turning out pretty good indeed. So yeah, we've been enjoying it. This has been a good project. Really, really good. So with that being said, we can do some gold. Now we got some different options. We got Greedy Gold, which would really make this thing pop. This is, of course, Army Painter. Regular paints. These are Speed Paint, Hoplite Gold, which would look good. And we use we use this type of gold. So let's go ahead and we'll use this, because that'll tie in the base to some of the accents that we had on some of the pieces that we outlined in gold. I think that'll look really good if we do the gold on that thing there. Wow, we're almost done with him. That is, unless I decide to do some extra detail work. Like I said, I ended up, like on some of the armbands that we have here. I'm not sure if I want to do anything with that. Maybe dry brush some of the fur to try to highlight. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, this could be just calling it good, and that would be it. Just turn that over and use the other side. So with this, so on the base, we're gonna just hit this thing up with gold, and yeah, I think we should be done, because that just turned out really, really good. The eyes, I don't know if I'll even do the eyes, because it's just dark and foreboding, and he's kind of looking down anyway, so you can't really see his eyes. I think I'll just leave the eyes alone and won't do anything with those. So, but we're gonna need to do the gold. So let us grab a good brush. I think that is a good one. And we'll make sure our gold is mixed up, because it is a metallic. And we will just start going to town. So that'll look good, folks. We'll do the tops of these, and then we'll let the top dry, and then we'll go and hit the sides and everything, at least the small little details and stuff. So we'll just hit the tops first. Oh yeah, that's going to look really good. This has definitely been a fun project. It's been sitting there for the longest time, just waiting for me to paint. Just sitting on the pile of shame, the shelf of shame. And I kept looking over at him, it's like, one of these days I'll get to you, I know, one of these days. And we have accomplished that. This is really good. I'm super pleased with this. Careful. As soon as I say I'm super pleased, I almost screw it up. How's that looking? Okay. So we can do the edges. So let us commence. this has turned out really good. Like I said, pretty happy with it. Now we're going to need more gold. Gotta remember to breathe. Gotta remember to breathe. Yeah, this will turn out great. And a little spillage. We can try to cover that up with some of that other color, that Tyrian blue. Pretty good, pretty good. A couple places, but for the most part, not bad. There's a little bit more, too much more gold than we needed to. But the hoplite gold works good. So, yeah, there it is. That just turned out great. Now, the other thing we could end up doing is trying to do some blood droplets with some UV resin, which is an interesting concept. But those drops are going to be big. So I don't know if I want to do that or not. I guess we could try to do some of that. Just have something drip off of, because all it is this UV resin, and we just drip it off of something. And then what we could end up doing is, like, I want to drip from like this here, and maybe, you know, some small drips off the axe blade, one or two, and then maybe something like that, just to maybe off of this one, and that would be pretty wild. But we need to have something that we could pour this, and not pour it or drip it off of something and then cure it real quick before it drops and hits. So we got like a snot booger that's hanging down. So how are we going to do that? I do have this. And we could use something like this. And then we could just put some, yeah, it's just a stick. And we could just pour some resin and have it drip down, and then we could just hit it with this light here. I don't know, we'll see how that works. And then if we can get a drop, so it's not really gonna, that is gonna be an interesting, how do we do that? That's not gonna work out well. Okay, never mind. But if we put it on here, does that do anything? No. Don't think we're going to get a big enough drop on there to get it to drip. I've seen some people do it, but I can't remember how they did it. Okay, so we do that. So we just add resin until it just drops. We're getting a drip on there, but it's just not enough. Not enough weight to do like a drop on there or a line. Wonder if we just, holy crow. So close, damn it. Not gonna work. I don't know, we'll figure out something. Because now I want to get a blood dripping from the axe. That's what I want to do. Because now I really want to do that. How are we going to do this? It's like it's so close. So close. It's like it almost wants to drop. It was like so close. It did the drip. I don't know. I gotta find some way to do the drip on this thing. And obviously with the UV resin, that's not gonna be the way to do it. All I want is one drip. So maybe, I don't know. Because it is so close. Of course, now it's got a drip on there that's not colored. So let's just put some glistening blood on there, and I still want to. I mean, it's got a little bit of a drip on it. It's not as much as I want, but yeah, that'll work for now. Until I look up and find out how to get a nice string with a drip of blood on the end of it. So, alrighty. So that's going to be it. I think we're pretty much done, folks. I think we have exhausted. But then again, what else could we do on this? Honestly, I think we're good on this. It's amazing how far things have progressed with resin. Yeah, I know. Just the level of detail that you can get with resin printing is insane. So let's take a look-see, and we'll see what this guy turns out like. So hold on, move the camera, and we will take a look and see what we see. So there he is. See there. Turned out pretty good. Again, the base turned out well. And we can kind of see here. The blood splatter and everything. That turned out really good. And then of course the back turned out well. And then his head, with the blood splatter and everything. Yeah, I think it just turned out really, really well. Yeah, it just turned out really, really good. So yeah, there he is, folks. He ended up being pretty good. Pretty good indeed. So yeah, definitely turned out good. Again, just really super happy with how that turned out. So I will let this guy dry, and yeah, it is just really turned out. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Let's see if we can get like a white background. Yeah, it's not really going to work out well. Let's take him over back to the desk, and we'll see maybe if we can get a better look from the desk view. So, man, it looks good. I think we did good there, folks. I think we did good. So, yeah, anyway, this is what it looks like with lighting. But this is the character that we ended up doing. As you can see, maybe I can try to get a piece of paper. To try to really highlight. Yeah, it's just not doing justice because the light isn't. That's as high as the light is going to go. But there you can end up seeing. That's not going to work. But I think that's about as good as we're going to get there as far as focus. So as we can see, we got some pretty good details on there. The colors, the shading. Again, this ended up being pretty good. You can see we got some blood on there, some of the details. And then if you can zoom into the face, you can actually see it's got some real good blood splatter on there. If this thing would, you know what? I wonder if I can, hold on a second. Let me see if I can manually focus this thing. Can I manually focus? Digital zoom and pan, fade, green screen, blah, blah, blah. Black, white mirror, blur effect, brightness, gamma, tint. It's regular, but we're doing a zoom. I think that's about as good as we're going to get there. Because I think it tries to focus on me. So, there it is. That's about as good as we're going to get with this. But it turned out pretty good. Again, the details on there ended up working out really well. And again, with the zenithal and then the speed paints, that thing just ended up being really good. So, yeah. So that's what I got up doing. A little dark and foreboding, but I think it looks pretty good. And you know what I could do is I could go back. I mean, as dark as this is, if I did a little dry brushing on the fur, which would kind of highlight all those peaks of the fur and everything, it would kind of highlight that. Maybe that would brighten it up a little bit. But man, this turned out great. I'm really happy with this. So anyway, I think we're going to call this done, aside from doing the varnish on there. We'll do a satin varnish, and I think we'll maybe a semi gloss. But man, that turned out good. Even though it's a little bit dark. The flesh was good. If I had zenithal or painted the face a little bit more with the white zenithal, we would have got a little bit better on the face. But it looks good. It looks good. I'm really happy with that. There it is. We are a done deal with our dude. And yeah, it just ended up being real good. So yeah, we'll get some pictures and we'll post them up. See how that goes. But there you have it. So anyway, now we can get back to the mood lighting. So so anyway, that's it. What we ended up doing is finishing up painting the Viking dude Eivor, which I think I got him off of CG Trader. Or My Mini Factory. I can't remember which one because it was like I got this so long ago and I printed him out so long ago and he's just sat on the shelf for so long and on the pile of shame of things that I needed to paint. I just never really got to him. But I saw him and I was like, hey, we got some lull in the storm. So yeah, it is. I think it turned out pretty good. So with that being said, yeah, I think we finished it up. So congratulations. Thank you for helping out and everything. It was we definitely needed to finish that guy up. And of course with George and some of his recommendations and, you know, saying, hey, use that ochre clay color. Worked out really good. The peachy skin was great. I just need to make sure that when I do zenithal highlighting that I get more of the face so that really shines through, and especially on the hands. So even though it might be shaded, and yeah, the underside being shade, really need to hit those hands more so that way we get some real defined colors. Otherwise, it's just going to be really dark. And I know it's hard and it's not. But I think we would have had better coverage and it would look better on the hands and on the face if I did a little bit more zenithal on those areas. So yeah. So that's all we got. Thank you for watching, everybody. And if you want to contact me, there's the email address down below, free, whatever, just to say hi or show me the stuff that you're doing and whatever prints or hobbies. Doesn't really matter. I had somebody send me pictures of their brisket and ribs and the whole 9 yards, which was really cool. People over here bought me coffee. If you want to do that, there's a link in the description box. But absolutely the best thing that you could do is like the video. So hopefully you could end up doing that for me. please. That would be nice. And yeah, I got to get some dinner because I'm getting hangry because it is now 5:42 p.m. on Tuesday, November 18th here in Korea. And that's where we're from. That's where we're living, where we're retired at. So we're going to continue on with doing that. And you do what you do, and I'll do what we do. And hopefully we'll meet together sometime and we'll do some more painting or hobby stuff for talking about being retired overseas. One of those things we'll end up doing. I don't know. So, all right, George, everybody else, we will see you later. Zombie Hunter, I know he was here. And there'll be some other people that watch afterwards. So if I miss you, thanks for watching sometime in the future. All right, we'll see you. Peace. Man, that turned out really good. That was nice.